Hi everybody, this is Jamie from the Unlikely Homeschool. Today I'd like to just share with you a little bit about how I run our homeschool schedule. I don't actually have a time-slotted schedule where we do math at 9 o'clock and penmanship comes at 9:30. I think with a lot of little ones in my home, I'd be setting myself up for failure if I had a schedule that ordered and dictated for me. So instead of actually assigning subjects to a time slot, I just assign them to a natural flow or a natural order. I call it my daily trio, and my trio of subjects looks a lot like this. First, I start with a core subject, and I think of a core subject as in language and math. Core meaning it's very academic, it's very required by just about every state. It involves a lot of teacher input. It often takes a little bit more time than the other subjects. So for me, that's language and math. So I start with a core subject, and then I move on to a reading-based subject or a living literature subject. And that might be science or history or maybe Bible, whatever it is for you. After a reading-based subject, we move on to a simple subject. And for me, simple subject just means something that my kids are able to tackle all on their own independently. And I'm not required to help them or do anything with them. That might be my daughter's Chinese on her Rosetta Stone program. It might be penmanship. It might be typing on the computer, whatever it is that doesn't require anything from me. So after we do that trio of subjects, then we take a break. And we just continue to rotate that trio throughout the day until all the subjects have been completed, or the clock strikes 5 o'clock and Dad's walking through the door and we end our school day. I order our day like this for two different reasons. The first is, with little ones underfoot, I cannot expect them to sit for any length of time and do any one type of learning for a long extended period. Like, I cannot expect them to sit for 30, 40, 50 minutes of reading aloud. So I have to mix it up and make it varied so that we're moving on to a different type of activity and then taking a break. So the first reason I do it is for my children, and the second reason is really for me. I think I've mentioned before that I like to start my school day off with having everything set out for the very first subject of the day. So if it happens to be language, I'll have all of the language manipulatives, everything that I'll need to teach that subject set out, because that's a core subject and it requires a lot of plan, a lot of purpose. After that subject has been taught, the next subject is a reading subject and then a simple subject, and neither one of those require a whole lot of setup. It's just grab a book off a shelf or send them off to the computer to get started. Then I have a little bit of time because by then we're probably preparing for lunch. After lunch, my children do their chores, and while they do their afternoon chores, I can be setting up for the next trio of activities. And again, I start with a core, and that would be math. And so I'll set out all the things on the school hutch that I would need to teach math and have that all set out. So I'm not going from one core subject to the next, having to do a lot of setup after every single subject. I would just be very harried and chaotic. So I order our day in a trio of activities for myself as well, because it helps me and it gives me a little bit more time to set up for some of those larger subjects. And everybody needs a break, including Mama, to go start a load of laundry or maybe fix the baby a snack, whatever. So I always like to mix in breaks between our trios because it helps us come back to the school table refreshed and ready to start the next thing. I don't know how you order your day. I'd love to hear about it. Happy homeschooling.